Now that you've created a Marvin project, final project 2, and added OpenCSV dependency, let's look at our project, what we are trying to achieve here. Let's go to our project. Now our project is to read data from CSV file and print all the employee data whose salary is less than 5,000. Now when you read this question, first thing you have to do is look at the data and find out what are the attributes. Let's go and look at the data. So this is how our data looks like. It has an ID, it has a name, and it has a salary. 3 attributes. We recognize the 3 attributes and we go back. We did the first step. We looked at the data and we figure it out what are its attributes. 3. Next step, what we want to do is we want to create a class which can handle this data, which can represent our data. So we go back to our project, go out the folder and we say new class. And since we want to handle employee data, we keep the class name as employee. Finish. Once we have done that, what we do is we create variable private string ID, private string name, private int, the 3 attributes. We create variable for that and we generate setter and getter methods for that. 3 generate. Now, right now what we have with us is a class that can handle our data. We call this class as a Pojo class. Next step. Once we have created our Pojo class, next thing is what we are trying to achieve here. We are trying to read a CSV file and then from the CSV file print the employee's data whose salary is less than 5,000. Next step would be to create a class to read CSV file. So what we do, we go back, we again go to our package, new, and we click class and we give CSV Reader as our class name. Why? Because we want to read CSV file. Done. CSV file. Next. Now, once you have created the class, what we are trying to do using this class. One step is to read CSV file, and second is to search all the red data to find the employee which has salary less than 5,000. Now, one by one. First, what we are trying to do here is read CSV file. Let's go and read our CSV file. So I have written the code prior, and what I will do, I will just copy paste this code. Control Shift F, Control Shift O, and import all the necessary files. We have error, which is remove argument matching CSV Reader, or we have to do create constructor CSV Reader file. So what we do not have is, okay, so CSV Reader file is an existing class that is used to read CSV file, and my class name is also CSV Reader. So it is conflicted. What we can do is we can rename our class Refactor, rename our class here as CSV File Reader. And say continue. And delete this code. Go back to our code, copy, and paste here. Control Shift F, Control Shift O. There, Control Shift F, Control Shift O, CSV File Reader imported from the open CSV file. Now to understand this thing, what we are trying to do here, leave this part first. We'll come back to it later. What we are trying to do here is read CSV file. So what we do, we get the CSV file path. This is my file path where I've kept, and we take an object of CSV Reader. What is CSV Reader? CSV Reader is a class from OpenCSV. Remember, we used a Maven dependency here, OpenCSV jar file, to read CSV file. It is that import, and we have created object. Now, how you want to read a CSV file? This is the command: copy paste. Reader is equal to new CSV Reader, new file reader, CSV file path. Once you do that, what would happen is it will be able to read all the data and keep it in reader. Our job is to read the data from the reader object. So what we set is, we set a string of line and we say while line is equal to reader dot next line. If it has text line, what we want to do is just print lines. So line 0 plus line 1 plus line 2. Okay. We do not want to transverse right now. So what we will do, I will move this one. Now we have what we need. What we have is a read CSV file which can read our CSV file and then print each line separate. Each line we have given it. Okay, just to clarify, when we say line, we mean this is a line, and when I say line 0 means this. Line 1 means name, line 2 is salary, 0, 1, 2, 3. Now I want to run this file. I cannot run it right now like this. If I say run as, it does not give me run as Java application. Why? If you want to run as standalone Java application, you need public static void main. What we'll do, we'll go create a new class. We'll call it execution. Class. We'll give a public static void main. Okay, and what we'll do here is we'll create an object of our CSV read file. CSV file reader is equal to new CSV file reader, and we'll do file reader dot. Where is our function? Read CSV function. And now we can run this code. Run as Java application. Now can you see here? It read all the file, all the data, and it is here. To give a better reading ability, what I will do is here I will say something like this: ID plus, and there is a plus, and I will say this is name, and then I will say what is this? This is our salary. Go to execution class, right click, run as Java application. Now you can see ID 78786, name Rachi, salary 4000. We can make it still more readable. What I can do is equal to, equal to, and equal to. So it will make more sense. And let's run it once again. Now you can see more readable. ID, name, salary. It is able to read all three of them. So for Our this task, read CSV file, is completed. Next step of our project, we have to print all the employee data whose salary is less than 5,000. Now, if we want to search the employee data, we have to load it in a data structure. Look at something like this. Look, this is our CSV file, and we want to search whose salary is less than 5,000, like the first one, the 234 ID, and then 897 ID. We want to only print this data from the file. So what we are going to do is, we read this file, keep it in an object, and keep this object in a list, so that later on, once all the data has been read, we can iterate through this list and find out which all employees' salary is less than 5,000 using certain data. Once again, what we are trying to do here, read the CSV file row by row. Each row is kept in an object, employee object, and that object is kept in a list. Why list? So that we can iterate through the list later on to get whose object salaries are less than 5,000. Let's go to our code. Here's a CSV file. Now what we want to do here is, rather than printing it, I want to keep this data into a object, employee object. So what I will do, employee, remember we created an employee class to handle our employee data. I'm going to use that here. Employee emp is equal to new employee, and I'll say emp dot set id. id is line. We know id is in line 0. Done. Next, what we want to do is emp dot set name, and we know name is in line of 1. Now emp dot set name, I want to do line 2. Done. So I have kept it. Now what is our next task to do? Once we have kept it in an object, the first row, we want to store the object in a list, so that what would happen is, later on we can iterate through this list to find out whose object salary is less than 4,000. Once they have done it, before it moves to next line, what I want to do here is, I want to add it into a emp list dot add emp. Now we do not have a list. What we are going to do here is, we are going to create a list of employee. emp list is equal to new array list, which is the employee, and we say done. Now what we have done is, took this object, kept it here. So it looks, reader has next line. So first line came to the object is stored in a list. Then next line, so next line it came, again you stored to an object, that object is stored here. And you see, every time I'm creating a new object. Then this, so we will, at the end, after loop completed, we will have a list which have objects, and each object is containing one employee data. Now it has stored it, but we haven't seen it. How to see whether it has stored it or not? What we are going to do is, once this stuff is over, everything is over, I want to do is, I want to print and see if it has actually stored the data or it has not stored the data. So what I can do is, for each loop I can use emp, and we say emp list. So I'm getting emp list, and I can do system dot out dot print, and then I can say id equal to plus emp dot. Now I will do get id. I did the set id here, and I want to do get id, and I want to do get name, and I want to do get salary. Right? Now if you run it, it should print data one after the another. Let's do this one in the same line. And give it the next line after it has printed in the same line. So what we have done here is, we took one employee data, keep it in object, new object, and store it in a list. Then next, this one into a object and into a same list next row. Keep adding. Once we have done that, what we are doing here is, we are iterating through this list to print all the data to see whether it is working or not. We will do same thing. Run as Java application. And can you see? ID, it's same. Okay, something is wrong here. Okay, I have not written here name. And salary. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And let's look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, let's run it once again. What is happening here? Now if you see, it is saying at 0 it has ID, but at line 1 it has 4000, and salary is 0. That means line 0, line 1, line 2, which we are looking at, it does not have the data. So what? Oh, now I get it, why it is doing that. Set salary. emp dot set salary, and if we say line 2, right, now it's correct. Now it is showing error. Now why it is showing error? Because set salary's parameter is integer type. It's a salary int we have given it. Look at it here. Where is salary? Oh, it's down here. Int. And whenever Java reads file, it is always string. So what we have to do is, we have to convert this into string. Easy way how to find it: go to Google and search how to convert string to int in Java. Can you see? Here it is. What I will do, Control V, and it will be line 2. Control Shift F, Control Shift O, done. Now let's run it and see. Save this file, run it, and see how it is working. Can you see? Now it is working. ID is equal to 786, name and salary. Everything is there. So we know that we have achieved at least this much. One employee data is kept in object, that object is kept in a list. And we have done it for all of them. Each one of this row, which is one employee, has become an object and it is stored in a list. Now our work is to only print the objects or the employees whose salary is less than 4,000. How to do that? What we can do here is, when we are looping through, rather than just doing this, what we will do, if emp dot get salary is less than 5,000, then print, or else does not print. We can go to execution class, right click, run as Java application, and you can see it printed only the object or employees whose salary is less than 5,000. And that is what we were trying to do in our project. That is, read the CSV file and search all the red data which is in our array list to find the employee whose salary is less than 5,000. And that's complete our project. We read the data CSV file and printed all the employees data whose salary is less than 5,000. Can you see? So it's a simple program, but what is important to learn, or to give a summary, what is there to learn in this project is how to handle data from database. This is a small example, but even if it is a large data of thousands of rows, you will still do this the same stuff when you want to get data from the backend. Step would be to create a Pojo class which will present that data, and then create a reader for the data. If it is CSV file, we are using CSV file. If it is Excel, we will use Excel. If it is a database, we will use database query. And from that database query, whatever result comes in, we will keep it in an object that can handle that data, which represent that data. And once we have kept it in object, we can keep it in a list. It can be any kind of data structure, and then transfers through that data structure to apply business logic. In our case, it was whose salary is less than 5,000. So this is it for this project. In the next video, we will look into code refactoring. If you look at this code right now, what is happening here is there is one function which is read CSV, but it is doing multiple tasks. It is reading CSV file, it is setting the object, and then also transferring the object, and that is not okay. Whenever you do coding, you create one function, one task. Right now, we have one function, but we have multiple tasks, the same function is doing. So next video, what we are going to do is, we are going to refactor this code to make it more readable and follow some coding standard. Thank you.